Graciano and Rutgers enter a huge year, one in which they are finally freed from playing the Big Ten East schedule and have a chance to win a lot of games in 2024. Today, we take a look at the top 10 returning players for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights and see what should we expect from this. We start with Kyle Monangai, and it's easy to see why. This is a first-team All Big Ten selection according to College Football Network, and when you look at what he did last year, you can see the talent. 1,262 yards and 8 touchdowns on the ground. He was the heart and soul of that offense, and he's hoping to find a little bit more balance to this group. This is a group that struggled to throw the football, but they knew that they had him to run the ball. Having Samuel Brown as back as well means that this rushing attack should be once again a solid group. That's going to be fun to watch, and it'll be interesting to see how he can work on beating those numbers, or if he's more focused, obviously, on winning football games. Maybe he doesn't do as much because this group as a whole does a lot better job of moving the football. Mohamed Torii is back after a really big season for him. 93 tackles, 9.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. He was very productive for this defense. The linebacker group was really fun to watch. The front seven in general is just really fun. Graciano's group did a really good job of being disruptive, and statistically was one of the better groups, the better defenses in college football. They return a ton of talent that should make them that group once again, and they're looking to be even better than they were in 2023. Aaron Lewis was another one of those players. He was so good to watch. He's been so good for this team for a number of years. And last year, it was really fun to see what he could do in a group that was full of talent. 51 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. He is a very disruptive player. And again, he has plenty of talent returning this year. He'll still play a leadership role, but you should expect big numbers from him once again. Desmond Bison is coming back at the nickel position. This secondary is loaded with talent. You have a number of talented players coming back, and he is just one of those guys that is part of what should be one of the better groups, a group that finished 10th against the pass. There's a reason why they did that, and there's a reason why they expect to be back there. And he is one of those players that is going to play a big role in that. 64 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss. He was very good near the line of scrimmage. Maybe not the ball hawk that some of his teammates are, but he is definitely someone that expects to be productive, expects to be disruptive. And this is a group that will love what they see from this secondary, a secondary that's going to face some really talented offenses this year, but they have the guys in place to feel just fine about where they're headed. Another one of those players is Shaquan Loyall, another player who played a huge role for a secondary, like I said, that was one of the best in college football. 66 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 interception, one forced fumble. A great name, but also a player that can handle the big time expectations of playing in the Big Ten. Again, this is a group that does not have to play the Big Ten East anymore, at least, by default, but you're going to see a group that thrives because they play, I don't want to call it a weaker schedule, but a more favorable schedule than you've seen in years past. And Rutgers has the talent. If you look at their depth chart, there's plenty of returning talent, and that's a big reason why they're excited about what could happen for them this year. Final player in the secondary we'll talk about today, Robert Longerbean. He is another guy who stepped up in a big way. Teams tested him quite a bit last year, 43 tackles, 10 passes defended and 1 interception. Again, if you're going to test this group, you probably should think twice about doing that. These are three guys that we talked about today that are going to play big roles. You're also seeing Michael Dixon back, Eric Rogers returned as well. So you have an entire group of experienced players in the secondary that are going to make a huge impact. And if you're a Rutgers fan, you feel pretty good about your team's ability to stop the pass, but also just your team's ability in general to be able to stop opposing offenses. Again, you're going to face a more favorable schedule. That is going to be huge for this team. You'll see a lot more success than you probably did in years past. And that's going to be really exciting. Could disrupt a lot of what the rest of the Big Ten wants to do. But at the same time, you're a team that is in a good position to make a run. And Graciano's done a tremendous job of getting this team to believe. And this defense has been a big reason why. We're going to flip back to the offense here for a few of these final ones. Christian Dremel is back after a solid season, 36 catches for 468 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, it's maybe not the most productive of any wide receiver that you've seen, but again, this is a group that finished 127th. They didn't even throw for 138 yards a game. So that's a group that is looking to take a step forward. If they find the right quarterback, they should be just fine. They should find balance, especially with teams focusing on the run so much. You don't even necessarily need to be the best quarterback. You just need to be able to get the football to your playmakers. And they have plenty of talent coming back as well as coming in for the transfer portal. So it's not like they're lacking options. It's just a matter of finding the right scheme to run and finding the right quarterback to run that offense. One of the new faces in town is Demir Miller. Coming in from Monmouth, had a solid year with 90 catches for 1,293 yards and 9 touchdowns. He is someone who could be a big time threat for this passing attack. So he and Dremel will be a good complement to each other. Ian Strong will also play a role in that passing attack as well. But again, it's just going to come down to who is going to be that quarterback that can take that next step and take this offense to a new level. Because if you find balance, you're going to feel pretty good about where you're at. And the quarterback position obviously plays a huge role in that, but having the right pieces in place for him to hit downfield is huge as well. So a guy like Miller who comes in from a lower level, that's going to be an interesting transition. But if you're able to take that step as a passing attack, your offense as a whole is going to be more dangerous and you're going to win more football games. Final player on the defensive side of the ball is Wesley Bailey. Now, this is someone who could be higher on this list. I don't have any arguments against that. 27 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. Another guy who, opposite of Aaron Lewis, will be very disruptive and very good for this defense. It'll be interesting to see what he's capable of doing. Again, this is the front seven has some pieces to replace, but the secondary feels pretty good. That being said, you have some really good players coming back that will make it easy for the new faces to get acclimated pretty quick. And then finally, we talked about that quarterback position before. Athan Kaliakmanis is coming to Rutgers from Minnesota. He is going to be someone to keep an eye on. I think that Minnesota liked what he had in terms of a skill set, and it just didn't work out. But now he finds a new home, had 1,838 yards, 14 touchdowns. I think that he has the arm talent to be a very good player for Rutgers. And again, this is a group that is looking to be better throwing the football, and you're still playing the Big Ten. And Kaliakmanis is someone who can make some of those big time throws. You just have to see it consistently. But again, if this group takes a step in the passing attack and they find ways to move the football through the air, the rushing attack will be more efficient, even more than they were last year when teams knew what this team was trying to do. And this offense as a whole will help a group that wants to win more football games do exactly that this year.